Hello everyone, today I want to talk about the topic of emotions and motion and how to use the two to really get control of your emotional state. Hello everyone, I'm excited today to talk about motion, fitness, being, interacting with the world of form, and also emotion, which is your internal workings, your movement, your drive, the things that come from inside of you that help you understand the world. And as always, going to begin with a quote. That quote is from the beautiful Helen Keller. "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." Read that again. "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." Helen Keller. Helen Keller was blind and deaf. And she still wrote novels. She was still this amazing chick that got heaps of stuff done. And she was an incredible human being. And she really just used her heart. She used her heart and she was amazing. An amazing individual, lucky to have on this earth. But she could have very easily got very down on herself, very emotional. Being blind and being deaf makes the world a very tough place to get around in. And she never allowed her emotions to get the better of her, and she lived an incredible life. But for so many other people afflicted with the same issues that she had, could have seen the world in very different ways. How do we really get control of this? And I know personally for me, the more I go to the gym, the less emotionally frustrated I get. I really see this in my personal life. In fact, the people who have their heads together the most that I know generally have their bodies and their motion and their exercise together as well. I don't know if that's a coincidence, but it's something I really see. And if you think about the people that you respect the most and who are under emotional control, are under emotional control, you see them, good and bad. Think about how they use their body. Are they people who sit on the couch all day and drink beer and eat chips, or are they people who are more active? And maybe you have a similar situation to me. So, using emotions and motion together to become more stable is important. And number one, motion and body language is incredibly important. You've seen me talk about the Harvard study where they asked people in the street to rank their happiness level 1 to 10, and then they asked them to grab a pencil and put it in their mouth and then walk around the block and do the test again. People think it's crazy because they did that test 2 minutes before that, but when they come back, more often than not, they increase their happiness level. So how did a 2-minute walk around the block make them happier? Well, two things. They were moving, and secondly, the pencil, unbeknown to the participant, made them smile. It brought their lips up. And when they were smiled, their body thought, "I must be happy," and then their brain reacted to that, and it's quite interesting. We used to think that quite often the brain would create the signals, but now we know we have neurons in other areas of the body. Quite often it's the body telling the brain what to do. Number two, you are not your emotions. You are a storehouse for emotions to move through. Rumi's Guest House is an amazing poem to read. I did a video on that to get a better understanding. But you're not your emotions. So when someone says, "That guy's just a really angry guy," is he his anger? Like, show me anger, show me the picture of it, show me the bottle. He's not an angry guy. He's an individual who keeps recycling anger that should come in and out of them. And never labeling yourself as being sad, depressed, angry. Don't ever label yourself that way, because ultimately, if you keep labeling yourself that way, you will live really hard to live up to your expectations of yourself, when in reality, no emotion is permanent. Never, ever. In fact, studies regularly show that people who, on one end of the scale, paraplegics, 18 months later generally have the same happiness level they did before the accident, and on the other end of the scale, people who win the lottery are generally just as happy or unhappy as they were 18 months before winning the lottery. So emotions always fade, and you come back to your true self. Number three, emotions are like the instrument panel on your car or on an aeroplane. You can imagine a pilot looking at these instrument panels and making slight adjustments to make sure that the red siren isn't going off that says he's losing altitude. He'll make adjustments. And that's what emotions are. They allow you to make adjustments to reality to find the best, most fluid path for your life. You shouldn't get angry at your emotions. You should adjust accordingly. Allow them to come through with you, feel it, and then adjust accordingly. Number five, thought generates ill-timed emotions. Emotions are always right in the moment. And that's really important to know when you're arguing with someone. When someone says, "I'm angry," and you go, "You shouldn't be angry," you're in big trouble. Emotions are right. If you feel it, you can't help but feel it, so it's always right. And it's sometimes helpful. Sometimes it's good to, get a little bit nervous if there's a couple of lions, cruising around you, which gives you more energy to run away. Where it doesn't serve you is when thoughts create emotion. We all know we might be sitting down thinking about someone who's hurt us in the past and maybe get a bit teary. That emotion is not necessary. That person's not there. That person is not doing what you think they're doing. They've done it in the past and you're reliving it twice. So it's really important to understand the emotions that come from the moment and the situation, and emotions that are generated from thought. We can alleviate those emotions through meditation, mindfulness, and breath, and we can live a great life. But when emotions come in the moment and they're necessary, we should really embrace them. Number 6, don't judge yours or other emotions. You don't know what someone's going through, and quite often I used to find this, especially working in retail, where someone would come in with a faulty mouse for their computer and they would be losing it and going nuts over this mouse, and people would say to me, what a crazy person, he's going nuts over the mouse. But what I started to learn was he's not going nuts over the mouse. He's going nuts because he feels like his life's not working out, he feels like he's not with the right partner, and then just on top of it his mouse breaks. So what he's really yelling at is not the mouse but the situation involving the mouse. And to judge that person as being a lunatic for getting angry over a mouse is to really lose compassion for the things that he's been through. The minute you judge someone else about their behaviour, you're also judging yourself, because you're practicing judgment. And it's nothing's worse than judging yourself for perhaps feeling anxious, getting anxious about feeling anxious, or being down on yourself for being down. Those things are not helpful. And the less you judge others, the less you can judge yourself and the more freedom you have. And finally, number 7, duality, peaks and ups and downs. So in order for you to be sad, you must have had to be happy. Now I know this is a very basic concept, but it's important we really look at it. Night doesn't exist without day. It would just be darkness. And the polarity and the duality of things allows you to scale them. Now what we've done as humans, we've decided to label them good or bad, which isn't super helpful. But understand, if you go chasing, and this is the other thing, when you go chasing these super high peaks and think that if I just run a marathon I'll feel $1 million, you have to understand that if it doesn't bring you what you want, you're going to feel the opposite. Quite often people feel depressed after having a baby, or feel depressed after a wedding because it didn't bring them what they thought it would bring them. You can only experience through this moment what's happening right now. And putting certain situations on a pedestal and saying, I'm just going to think about getting married for the next 6 months, not only takes you out of the moment, but it puts so much emphasis on that the opposite is going to be really, really bad as well. And ultimately, you can live a much better life without putting huge emphasis on different emotions you think you will feel in the future. Allow them to happen in the moment. Getting control of your emotions is one of the most important things I've ever done in my life. It allows me to be more compassionate, to be more level-headed, and to see the beauty in the world every single day. And I think that's something that we all would enjoy. Something to think about, and I can't wait to see you till tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.